Oh, I hope this one has a Bremen in it. What? Where's the wargaming employee? Where's the wargaming employee? What the heck? What? Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we have the new Tier 10 German Light Cruiser Bremen import to review for you guys today. The Bremen is one of the latest releases that came out with the Steel Fleet event, which is one of the ways you can pick her up right now at this current moment. She's available in the Steel Fleet event for the low price of, well, let's go double check that real quick. I believe she's along the lines of 36,000 steel if you have the coupon for her. Yeah, so 39,000 still, so you get the coupon, gets her down to like 32 and change, 36 and change. But anyway, yes, she is available right now for still. Or if you are so lucky, you can pick her up in a golden gift container in the Ultra or the Mega gift containers. Or, of course, the standard one as well. Of course, the drop rates for that are quite low. But yes, as you saw in the intro, I did somehow get lucky enough to get this thing in a golden gift container when we were opening up those Santa containers on stream last night. I went through and I got all of my certificates for my mega gift containers, and then I went back and we bought some ultra gift containers just to see how those are. And well, I got a Bremen from one of them, so they're pretty okay, it seems. But anyway, today we're going to go through the Bremen, talk about her stats and features, look her over in port, and then of course have a gameplay review section. And discuss whether or not I believe the Bremen is worth spending that steel or, potentially taking a chance at getting her in one of the containers. But before we do that, absolutely massive shout out goes to the channel's Patreon supporters. I am not a CC, so I do not get any of these ships for free to review from Wargaming. We acquire them either using my in-game resources or the money the channel generates, or of course the funds that the generous Patreons donate to support the channel, which is how we got those Santa gift containers to, of course, get this ship. So absolutely massive shout out to those guys whose names should have just popped up on screen. If you too wish to be oh so generous, you can check out the link to the Patreon in the description down below. But alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the Bremen. So for all intents and purposes, this is a bigger Mainz. Like, it's a bigger Mainz. It's got the 150mm guns and the same turret setup. It's a bigger Mainz. Like, that's what this thing is. That's what most of us said when it was announced in the dev blog. And yes, as you see as we go through it, it is of course a big Mainz. So this is a tier 10 resource ship, so she does not have a baked-in economic bonus, but she does come with the bonus package here with the 50% buff to the credits and 100% buff to your various XPs. I actually forgot to put these economic bonuses on her when I took her into battle, so the stats you'll see in the post-credit screen, the post-game screen in the gameplay section was without any of these. It's actually just this and premium time. But anyway, for her camo, she does actually have an actual camo. No, she's not one of the ships that, just has a gray paint job nowadays. But you do get a pretty standard looking German camo there, so that's very nice. Model, of course, looks good, and you do get a nice little crest there on the bow. That's very nice. All right, so let's take a look at that armor. So you get a 25mm bow, a 40mm partial icebreaker bow. There's a little strip here of the main armor belt poking out from behind the torpedo protection. It's 130mm thick. And then this is apparently torpedo protection here at 130mm thick. But then you get to the actual torpedo protection, that's 30mm thick. Upper belt's 30mm as well. Of course, you have another little peaky chunk right here with the armor belt poking out from behind the torpedo protection. Partial icebreaker stern, 90mm piece of armor right there over the steering gears and such. Stern is, of course, 25, as is the stern deck. Deck is 30 millimeters as well, and superstructure is 13 millimeters thick. The turrets have a face of 30, the sides are 20, tops are 20, I think the backs are 20 as well too. Yeah. All right. Conning tower is 150 millimeters thick with a 70 millimeter top. Citadel is right there. It is above the waterline, but you do have, yep, this strip that comes down and protects it a little bit. You'll be decently protected from, other light cruisers, obviously, and other cruisers if you are angled enough. But of course, battleships, if they catch your side, they can and will citadel you. Trust me, there's no problem there. All right, survivability. With the flag and the commander build that I'm running, we have 59,050 hit points available to the Bremen with a 16% torpedo damage reduction. All right, for the firepower, you of course get the 16 150 millimeter guns. That's right, the Germans went ahead and crammed another turret on in. I'm sorry, another gun on in that turret. So you get these very wide looking turrets, which is something you'd expect on a French ship, but no, here it is on a German light cruiser. So with the build that I have, which is a reload build, or I have the main battery reload slotted in the last mod slot, you have a 4.7 second reload time base. The turrets rotate in 23.7 seconds with the commander skill. They have a maximum dispersion of 147 meters with the dispersion module equipped. A maximum range of 18.1 kilometers, and that is the base maximum range. The HE shells do a maximum damage of 1700. They have a 10% fire chance with the build that I'm running, so the flags and the commander skill, 8% base. 38 millimeters of armor penetration thanks to that improved German HE, which is fantastic. Because you get over that 32 millimeter armor threshold, so you can pin battleship extremities, you can bully French ships to no end and such. So 32 millimeters is the last major armor threshold in the game, if you're wondering. So if your HE can pin 32, you're going to get good, consistent damage out of higher tier ships. The guns do have a nice velocity of 960 meters a second coming out of the tubes for the HE shells. The AP does a maximum damage of 3,900, and it too comes out of the tubes at 960 meters a second. You do get 20 128 millimeter guns with a 3.6 second reload time, maximum dispersion of 500 meters, maximum base range of 8.7 kilometers, with a maximum damage of 1,500, 7% fire chance. These can pin 32 millimeters of armor, and their shells come out the barrels at 900 meters a second. It might look tempting to do a secondary build, but trust me, go main battery. So a bit of a departure from like the kind of normal German tool set is the fact that, not that it has torpedoes, but that these torpedoes, which are pretty much the standard German torps, they're just in a 4x5 configuration, but they can travel 12 kilometers, which is very nice. We'll talk more about that when we get to the gameplay section. But they do have a maximum damage rating of 16,533, which is, I believe, pretty standard for the German torps. They just bolt onto, every ship in the game. But yeah, that 12-kilometer range is really nice. Again, we'll talk about that later. You do get 2 charges of the airstrike for ASW duties, but it only has an 8-kilometer range. A defense is 91. On paper, it's pretty good, but of course, AA is, well, AA. You get 18x2 of the 30mm flak guns. You get 8x2 of the 55mm guns. And then the 128mm guns are dual purpose, with a range of 6 kilometers. Maneuverability with the speed flag, you will be going 34.1 knots. Standard, it's just a little bit over 32 knots, with an 11.6 second rudder shift time and a turning circle radius of 840 meters. Consumables with the full build is 13.1 kilometers. Fun fact, without a build, your consumables only 1.8 kilometers less than your main battery gun range because, yeah, alright, because it's German, Alright, for your tool chest, you do get your choice of fighter or spotter, choice of hydro or DFAA, and you do get a heal that regenerates 354 HP per second with the, of course, the HP flag, with the heal flag, and with survivability expert, right? So this runs for 28 seconds and cools down in 76 seconds. Damage control party runs for 5 seconds and cools down in 57 seconds. So like I said, I do have a main battery gun build here on my Bremen We, of course, went with main armaments mod 1, as the main batteries guns are where most of the damage are coming for the ship. So naturally, we want to keep those in the fight for as long as possible. This reduces the chance of them breaking by 20%, gives them a 50% buff to their survivability, and a 20% buff to their repair time. Does the same thing for their torpedo tubes as well. I then went with Damage Con Mod 1 because it is a bigger ship, and with just how higher tier is right now, there's a lot of HE spam. So I figure, if we lower the chance of us catching on fire, that's good. So this reduces the chances of us catching on fire by 5% and flooding by 3%. And I wasn't really sure what else to put here. Maybe engine room protection, but I mean, I didn't really find the engine getting knocked out that much when I was playing, at least. All right, aiming systems mod 1 because, again, main battery ship. We want the main battery shells to go where we want them to go. This reduces our dispersion on those main battery shells by 7%. Also increases the secondary gunfire range by 5% as well. Then I went with Propulsion Mod 1 for the Jukes. This reduces the time it takes us to get the full power by 50%. Consumables System Mod 1 for a 10% buff to our concealment. Now, there was an argument in chat when I was playing this last night about a lighthouse build. Sure, it could probably work, but for someone like me that's not the best light cruiser player in the world, I'd rather have the ability to disengage at my own free will as much as I can versus just being spotted 24/7. It is a light cruiser after all, do remember that. So that's my logic here with this build. And then main battery mod 3 for a 12% buff to our reload time at the cost of turret traverse. For our commander build, I went with Last Stand. This gives us, of course, the ability to have the ship still able to maneuver if the engine or the steering gears get knocked out, albeit at a reduced rate. I did take Grease the Gears to counteract the debuff that we get from the reload module, and this gives us a 50% buff to the main battery traverse speed, which you're going to want. Then Demolition Expert for additional 1% chance of setting something on fire. The more fires that we put on enemy ships, the more damage we do. Then, of course, Adrenaline Rush to take, a bit of the edge off of our reload. For every 1% of HP that we lose, we get a 0.2% buff to the reload time of our main battery guns and torpedo tubes. So that's pretty nice. Then Superintendent for additional charge of that heal, hydro, and spotter plane. And, of course, Survivability Expert for another 450 HP for the ship's tier. So at tier 10, that's giving us an additional 4,500 HP, which is very nice. Then, naturally, Concealment Expert to give us another 10% buff to our detection range. Again, being able to disengage when we want to is great for surviving. And then, Top Grade Gunner. This gives us an 8% buff to the main battery reload time when something is spotted within our standard detection range. You might be thinking, Sealor, 30.1 kilometers is kind of close. That doesn't happen that much. Oh, you're not right. It happens quite often, surprisingly. Alright, so that is the Commander module build that I was running on the Bremen. We are now going to go to some gameplay footage, and I will meet you guys there. Alright guys, voiceover Sealord here, and yeah, it's big minds. It's very big minds. Which is all I ever wanted it to be. I mean, when I saw this come out in the dev blog, myself, you guys, many of the guys I play with were rejoicing because it's a big minds, and that's exactly what it is. When you have 16 150mm guns with that good reload, man, you can put a lot of shells downrange very quickly, and man, this is a great ship to put Lucians on. The only reason I didn't put Lucians on this ship is because I didn't want to respec him, because I knew I was going to have to pay either the doubloons or the Commander XP to respec him, and then I knew, tomorrow I'm going to want to go play, my Ad Albert, and, well, got to pay to respec him then again. I wish I had 2 Lucians, that'd be fantastic. So that's the only reason I didn't put him on this ship. But yeah, if you have Lucians, don't have Ad Albert, or you don't mind paying to respec him, absolutely put him on this ship, because after 130 160 main battery shell hits, you get that buff to the main battery gun reload time, which is fantastic. So this ship is great. If you like the Mainz, you're gonna love the Bremen. And what the Mainz is about is using its speed and agility to dish out HE to the enemy team. When they're bow into you, you burn them down, melt them down like that. Then when they go broadside to you, use your AP to chunk their superstructure and extremities. This is all that the Bremen is. It's just, a tier 10 ship now. It should be very comfortable to play if, you're someone that has experience in the Mainz. Now, what I quickly discovered last night while playing this on stream, you can watch the VOD on YouTube or on Twitch, is that while the Bremen was willing, the teams were not. Let me tell you, we had multiple games in a row where we had pretty much no spotting. We had to be the spotting in the Bremen. We had multiple games in a row where my team just kind of fell apart, or the enemy team just kind of rolled over and died before we had a chance to do anything. So that's why I do apologize that the background footage isn't the best, but what's kind of nice here is that I kind of get slapped at the start of the game, but now I have that nice adrenaline rush boost for the rest of the game, so it kind of makes up for it. It's odd that like a GK from like maximum range, and then a Sabir from well outside of its effective range, and it wasn't using its funny F button. Both of them managed to citadel me, but like later in the night, more snipery ships couldn't do it. Funny how that works. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, the teams were something. Again, you can go watch the VOD for that joy. But anyway, so when things did work out well, when I had spotting, or when I had good team support, the thing is absolutely crazy. The amount of shells you're going to be sitting down range, of course, because you're sitting 16 shells down range, of course, depending upon what build, but in around 4-ish seconds, every 4 seconds, that is, oh my god, that is plenty of shells going downrange. More than enough to make up for the anemic German HE. I found I was having no problems setting fires in this thing. I mean, 14 shells downrange with, 16 shells downrange with a 10% fire chance every 4.7 seconds. You're going to set something on fire. And the high velocity out the barrels makes this a very comfortable ship to shoot from very comfortable set of guns to be firing from like 14, 15 kilometers in. It's very comfy. Once you get past like that 16, 17 kilometer range, the shells do start to become floaty. Again, that's the same thing on the mites. So that's why I would just go with the reload mod and not really worry about the range mod. You do have a catapult because, of course you do. The Germans apparently strap catapults to everything. So you do have a spotter that can get your range up to around 20-ish kilometers if you just really need to get out there and slap somebody. Like if someone's not pushing up into your main battery gun range and right on the edge, yeah, just pop the spotter. But you're probably not going to really be able to like consistently land hits on targets unless it's something like a larger battleship, which is when I would use my spotter, and it works fine for those situations. So yeah, I found that the reload mod was definitely worth it. The pickup you get in your DPM or your RPM is very much worth giving up, having super floaty shells out at 19, 20 kilometers. For sure. And definitely, like, if you take that range mod and then you use the catapult spotter, your shells aren't getting there until like the next business day, right? So 15, 16-ish kilometers about where the shells stop becoming comfy, and you really gotta start leading them, which of course there's many of you light players out there which can more than make that work. But it's really, really, really comfortable from like 15-ish kilometers in, which is great for, of course, bullying destroyers, farming down battleships, using your agility to, scoot away from the battleships and enrage them. I had several games where I easily crossed the 2 million potential damage mark. A lot of that YouTuber effect. Everyone wants to shoot the YouTuber and the new ship, but thankfully, again, the ship is maneuverable enough to where you can, get out of those bad situations. And it does have a heal. The heal is a great, great thing because, of course, the mites didn't have a heal, but this heal now gives you the chance to, kind of lick your wounds and recover if you goof up. Like, again, you see what happened to me in this particular match. Allows you that second or third or fourth chance at, doing things in the match, and that's very much appreciated. I think very much needed, of course, considering you're going up against super cruisers, super battleships, super aircraft carriers and stuff that just kind of hate you, right? So that's very nice. The AP, of course, very nice too. Broadside cruisers, load that AP. Broadside battleships, load that AP, chunk their bow, chunk their upper armor belt, chunk their superstructure. I was finding, like, with the HE, if you're shooting like an unsaturated superstructure, you would get like 5 to 6k damage, sometimes 7k damage. With the AP, you are absolutely shredding their superstructure, bow, upper armor, stern. If all shells land, they all pin, you're easily doing like 10k a pop, which is absolutely wild. But of course, too, they have to show you broadside for that, and most ships won't, let you get more than a couple of rounds off of that before they start to angle. But my God, when they do, it's such a great time. The torpedoes, very, very useful torps. You know, 12-kilometer torps, that's amazing in a ship like this. When, you know, your ideal engagement zone is around 14, 15 kilometers, and ideally, you know, you'd be on like the kiting flank with this thing, and you just, you know, running away, using a throttle, you know, juking the enemy shots, and you're just melting them in return with your HE. You're throwing torpedoes at them. If they're chasing you down, you know, if they're like full throttle coming at you, you can launch these bad boys from like 13 kilometers away, and they will get there if they're going full throttle, right? They will sell into them. So that's great. You know, they're preoccupied trying to hit you, but hi, here's some torpedoes. So yeah, I had a couple of moments like that throughout the night, which were very, very satisfying indeed. So this ship's a ton of fun. If you like the mains, you will love the Bremen. It's what I thought. You know, the Hawaii's fun and goofy, and you can have some ridiculous moments in it, but like, you know, the Bremen, it feels a bit stronger, a bit better for, you know, more day-to-day Wood Warships things. I doubt it's going to get nerfed. I'm sure the Hawaii is probably going to get nerfed a few months from now, given how crazy it's been. You know, if you called what was it, Thursday's video? Yeah, it's pretty stupid. But this feels good. It feels solid. It feels like a big Mainz, and again, that's all it needed to be. For me, this ship is a 10 out of 10. I love it. I love Mainz, so I very much love bigger Mainz. So guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about the Bremen. Did you plan on picking it up? Did you get it? Have you played it? Did she feel good? Did she feel bad? Do you agree? Do you disagree with me? Let me know all that good stuff down below. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and all that jazz. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.